All right. Didn't say that word. We went for a nice long bike ride yesterday. And on our nice long bike ride yesterday, I was riding with my friend Ken and his wife Jen, who is also a friend. So Ken and Jen. Um, they own two condos down at the beach, one in OB, one in PB or Mission Beach, and they basically kind of vagabond between the two, and they have an old camper van, and so they can rent out either one of the two condos at any time to like vacation rentals, and then live in the van if both of them are rented simultaneously. They're like bohemian cool people. Anyway, the fun part about riding with them is Ken is a volleyball coach and an absolute moron, dear to my heart. And he's the first one to tell you he's an absolute moron. Jen is a nutritionist. So of course we started talking about diets and all this cool thing, and she starts talking about some crazy nutrition theory. So I'll jump on and try it. So I've been drinking a ton of water. Whenever you're doing any sort of intermittent fasting or doing any sort of diet change, why do you have to drink a lot of water? But you can stay hydrated without drinking a lot of water. Yeah. To keep your body in balance. If you are burning extra fat, like you're supposed to be ketotic, I'm not ketotic, but if you're supposed to be burning extra fat by not eating longer, then your body, it's really hard on your liver and your kidneys. So if you drink a lot of water, it helps clean everything out. It's actually the same reason if you drink a lot of water while heavily drinking, you have to pee all night, but you don't have nearly as bad of a hangover the next day. And then you can buy the MedRx water. Good luck with that. That's water. Anyway, so I've been drinking tons of water, and I've been having to frickin' pee every like 5 minutes. And it's like, okay, and it's not just like drip, drip. It's like, sorry, that's too much information. All right, but it's kind of a problem, especially if you're a teacher. You can't just run off to the bathroom every 5 minutes. So what she suggested, good morning. What she suggested is putting saline in your water. As we had this discussion earlier, not the same as Visine. Anybody know what happens if you put Visine eye drops in your water? Yeah, it causes violent diarrhea. Good morning. You come in at the wrong moment, and you just got to roll with it. Anyway, but it's not just makes you poop. It like explosive, gotta go right now. Stifler, whatever. Okay. No, wait, it's not Stifler. What's the kid from that movie when they give him the horse laxatives? 2 movies they did that. Dumb and Dumber and American Pie. Never mind. You guys got to stay inside more. Okay. Pooing is near to my heart. I think it's very funny. So, I'm 12. Morning.
Good morning.
Okay. So, I dumped a packet of saline in here this morning, and so I want to see if this is going to make a difference across the course of the day. I'll probably drink at least 3 or 4 of these. This is one of my daughter's old cast-off ones, because obviously she needs a new Hydro Flask every year. So I get whatever old crap that they don't want anymore. This one's nice because it's got Sand Clouds, it's got Mammoth, it's got Pura Vida and Wailea sticker on it. Okay, but by the way, it's in high school now. It's cool not to have stickers on your Hydro Flask. Just in case you were wanting to go back to high school, don't have any stickers on your Hydro Flask. It's important to know these important. Anyway, so here's a problem. Do I know I put something in here? If I feel better throughout the day, is it because actually the saline that I put in there, or is it because I think it's the saline that I put in there? How do we know what is the truth? Okay, so somebody just said it. Experiment. Okay, so what happens is our brain, our mind, looks at things at a certain perspective. We assume that other people also have perspectives. The problem is, when you have a perspective, it creates this. because Ken and Jen, I trust Jen. Jen is she's a very good nutritionist. She suffers from, she got a amoebic parasite. Please avoid drinking mountain stream water if you possibly can. You do not want to get an amoebic parasite. What it does is it goes in and replicates inside your intestines, and it causes damage, good morning, to the walls of your intestines. Does it go away? Somebody, what do you think? Does it go away? The damage doesn't go away. You might kill the parasite, but the damage it causes to your intestines doesn't go away. It causes little scar tissue and increases your risk of colon cancer, good morning, and all sorts of things. So she can't digest a lot of foods. And so her studies of nutrition have been trying to get her body back to functioning after getting this parasite about 15 years ago. And she has all these crazy, wacky theories, and she eats these really bizarre mushrooms that she puts in her coffee to make it so her coffee doesn't dehydrate her. They're very, very expensive, and she says they work great. How many times have you heard about people claiming how awesome CBD is? Everybody who thinks it's awesome thinks it's awesome. Everybody who's tried it and it doesn't do crap doesn't talk about it. So what do we hear? CBD's awesome! I rub it all over myself every morning. What does it do? I don't know. But why do you do it? Because people say it's awesome. And it's really expensive. So therefore, I feel awesome. Make sure you get the non-THC kind before you go to work. Just saying. Because sometimes they don't tell you it's got THC in it when you buy it. And you're sitting here looking at your yogurt. Okay, moving on. So, whenever we have a new thing that comes onto the market, whenever somebody tells you how awesome a product is, especially if they use the line, I was skeptical and then I tried it. Soon as you hear that, that is, does bias mean wrong? Not necessarily. Bias doesn't mean wrong. One of my good neighbor friends who named Pete started doing the kettlebell stuff years and years ago, and he said, you got to come try this. It's really fun. You'll like it. And I said, okay. And so I went and tried it. I'm like, oh, I love it. It's awesome. So for me, it was great. I've had other friends have gone to the gym. They went for a couple months and said, I hate this. I quit. How come I think it's awesome? Good morning. And how come other people think it's awesome, but some people hate it? Words. Perspective. Your bias is not truth. Your bias is not truth. Okay, I'm going to write this word up here. Quit it. What is this word? Okay, what is an agent? Go ahead. Okay, so I'm going to change it a little bit. It's an object with a purpose. So our world is full of agents, objects that have purpose, objects that have a particular goal or that help gain a particular thing. We look at people as agents. They have some sort of purpose and direction. We see other people who we don't even pay attention to because we don't see them as agents. So an agent can be anything. So the saline that I put in my water this morning. So the saline that I put in here is actually from a nasal rinse packet. I didn't use it first and then put it in my water. That's gross. Ugh. Now that I'm thinking about it. Okay. But so what it is, it's pH balanced, which means it's basic. It's basic because if you put a little carbon dioxide, baking soda in water, what does it do for the water? That's what the flavor's coming from. Okay, sorry. It tastes funny. But it's slightly basic. If anybody ever used a nasal rinse, a saline rinse in your nose, highly recommend it if you've never tried it. It really geeks you out a few different times, but it really cleans out your nasal passages in a nice, gentle way. Don't use tap water. Please use filtered water. Because if you have funky tap water and you blast it up into your sinuses, guess what you get? Oh, the best sinus infection you've ever had in your entire life. Talk about sinus pain. That's just... Anyway, I grew up swimming in ponds. I know. Okay. So now, but the saline, if you put some regular water up there, it stings. But if you add a little bit of a baking soda to it, it doesn't sting. If you add too much baking soda, it stings. So I dumped one of those in this big bottle of water. It's very little amount of salt for this amount of water. But why am I assuming it's an agent? Why am I assuming it has purpose? Because that's what my friend says. She studies nutrition, so I assume that her bias is based on evidence. And her bias is based on her perspective. And I trust her perspective, so I'm going to try it. Why would I trust the guy that runs our gym with the diet and workouts that he puts up? Well, but before I started getting results, why did I trust him? I don't know he knows what he's doing. I'm assuming, I am under the perspective, because of his job and his situation, he knows what he's doing. You see? You think that I know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, but the reason is because do you give objects purpose and intent? Do you give objects agents, or agency technically? Yeah. So here's the problem. Humans are relatively stupid. Why do we connect things that aren't supposed to be connected? Why do we connect random events together? We do this all the time. You see a penny, you pick it up. An hour later, someone says something nice to you, and you look at the penny and go, oh. If it's heads down, you leave it there. You walk by a fountain, fling. You flick a penny into the fountain, or a quarter. And people do yell at you for flicking coins in the water, whatever. Why do you do that sort of thing? What's the word? Why do people... The word luck. The word luck. Luck is a connection of random events. You assume that something happens, you're lucky. Something bad happens, you're unlucky. And it's really interesting how we try to connect agents together. A cat walks in front of you. Bum, 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 you're going to die. What's a poor black cat have to do with you dying? Be careful, don't step on the backpack. Oh, that was really close. Okay. If you step too far in the back, he was stepping over the chair. And if he steps on the back, it folds up and then it... Sorry. Okay. So... What's some other bad luck things that you've heard about? Broken mirrors. Under a ladder. Salt. You spill salt. Take a pinch with your right hand, throw it over your left shoulder. Makes perfect sense. When someone sneezes, you bless them. Or damn them. Okay? Salud. That's my favorite. Okay. But, so the idea the idea of these connections of random events, this is a big problem for humans. Because it's really hard for humans to see true cause and effect. Make this bigger. It's really hard for us to see true cause and effect because humans are constantly looking for agents. We're trying to find reason for things. And I'm going to give you just a really quick little thing. This is what makes humans better adaptable to the world than any other creature, except for cockroaches and crows. Cockroaches just do it by having a bazillion babies. That's really not that hard. Anybody could do that. Just have like 1 million kids per body. They'll survive. But what about crows? Anybody ever watch, there's a TV show called A Murder of Crows? Not murder as in stabby, 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 but murder as, what you call a flock of crows is called a murder of crows. Crows learn. If we send Dana out with a stick to chase around a couple crows, the next day on campus, as soon as they see her, what will they do? They will swoop at you and go, ah, 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 ah. And then that's their attack. Ah, 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 ah. You've ever seen a crow's attacking a cat? It's really funny. The cat's like, what'd I do? And like, you pissed us off. Ah, ah. Okay, so then that crow that she harassed with the stick, it'll tell its family members, pick on Dana. Then the next generation, when they start flying and they see Dana, ah, 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 ah. They teach their young.
Explains so much.
I know. It's to stop chasing crows with a stick. But it's really funny. It's like the people try to poison crows. And what do the crows do? They don't fall for the poison. The squirrels are dead on the street every single day. Very, very rarely will you see a crow dead on the street. Sometimes they're actually dragging the squirrel onto the street so the cars smash over it so that they have more easier. It's easier to eat. In our neighborhood, the crows grabbed macadamia nuts from one of the neighbor's trees. They drop the macadamia nuts in the street, and then a car runs over them, then they run down and eat it. And it's funny because sometimes there's no cars around, so they'll fly up as high as they can and then fling it and then dive bomb to the bottom because one of their friends is sitting on the street waiting for it to hit the street to crack. And you're like, oh, bastard! Okay, and so they figure out cause and effect. When we talk about intelligence later, we're going to show you some stuff about crows that'll blow your mind. They can solve 8-step problems. Good morning. Okay? So, is there a true cause and effect in the world? Yeah. There is real cause and effect in the world. The problem is we can't see all the details, so we don't know exactly what the true cause and effect is. Something like lottery. Is there a real cause and effect with the lottery? Well, there is. It's a probability. Probability. There's a random probability. You can actually calculate. We did it in my stats course. Calculate the probability of figuring out the lottery numbers. You'd have to buy over 250 million tickets to guarantee a win. At $2 each, you start to see the problem. 250 million possible combinations to guarantee a win. And that's not winning a jackpot. That's just a 5 question, the 5 number. But you can do it. It's mathematically provable because there is it's random. It's a finite number of choices that the balls can be. But humans can't pay attention to all the probabilities. So what do? Okay, so we're gonna watch this. I'm gonna pause recording. The main idea of what this whole experiment is about is that these little creatures, these are 10-month-old babies. They are determining cause and effect not based on what they're shown, but based on how they are shown. We have a chip in our brain. It's actually our left hemisphere. The part of our brain looks for cause and effect relationships. We have this whole side of our brain is all about cause and effect relationships. What happens now what happened in the past, what will happen in the future. All of that is constantly running in human brains. While as their other side of the brain are doing other things, the left side is constantly asking, what is happening now? What happened then? What will happen in the future? Why do you think that makes us survive better? Go ahead.
So if we see fire burning something, then we can make an assumption that if we go into the fire, we will burn as well.
Yeah, it's actually funny that babies, there's a really, we'll show you this experiment a little bit later. There's a guy named John Watson. Took him a second to get his name. But he basically took a burning newspaper and put it in front of a little 8-month-old. And what does the 8-month-old try and do? Reaches his hand toward it. Like, hey, Mr. Watson, that's mean. B, 8-month-olds are not really afraid of anything. Because what are they missing? They have experience. They have a past. They have a now. What can't they do? They can't look at the future. Wow, that's burning. Let me touch it. If it burns them, then what do? Then they back away from it because they know, oh, ow. But they can't predict in the future. If a little slightly older kid, like our kids, when they go to touch the stove, like they've touched things that are hot before. And we touch the stove, no, hot. And they go, oh, hot. And immediately they understand agent, cause, and effect. Oh, I remember when I grabbed that tea bag out of my dad's tea. And they grabbed it and it splashed water on them and it burnt their hand. And I got yelled at by my wife for leaving a tea bag near the kid, whatever. But the kid learned hot equals, ow, not good. And so because hot equals not good, as soon as we say hot, the kid goes, I understand. Now, does hot mean the same thing to you as it does to a baby? No, because there's Thai chili pepper hot. There's habanero hot. It's different than like a serrano hot. Are they different hots? Different types of chili peppers? I like the Thai chili peppers myself. They sneak up on you. This feels great. This is good. I really like this. Oh, no. And then it's just... Okay. So now, whenever we are trying to find true cause and effect, what is the key word that she used up there? Science. Science. Let me see if I can find... So how do we decide... Okay, so what is science? Let's go through what science is. Number one in science, what do you have to do? Okay. This is actually really important. In this class, all the science that we do involves one thing. Behavior. Everything that we're going to do in a few minutes here, you have to have a measurable behavior. If we're going to be looking at video games and aggression, what do I need to measure? Well, what specifically it? Aggressive behavior. Good. So what's an aggressive behavior? Slamming the desk. That would be considered an aggressive behavior. There's actually a pretty cool thing where we can actually measure the force on the joysticks that you're using. The more sweaty you get, I'm trying to use hip vocabulary, while you're playing. My son won like 4 battles this weekend on Fortnite. He's very excited. And now his Xbox is off until Friday afternoon. He gave it a hug this morning. Sorry. Okay, but it's really funny, though, when he's not playing on his Xbox, he's a much more pleasant little dude. He's nicer. He's more fun to interact with. When he's playing on his Xbox a lot, he's salty. Okay, moving on. So, Observations have to be a behavior. Okay, so what else does science have to have? Predictions. Okay, we call those hypotheses. Whenever you set up a good hypothesis, you found it?
I emailed it to you.
Okay, cool. Whenever you find a good hypothesis, what that means is a if-then statement. And a good hypothesis also works in the opposite. This is actually the way to write a good hypothesis. A good hypothesis is an if-then statement. If I add saline to my water, I will retain more water and not pee as much. Now I said that I have to pee. Anyway, so what's the opposite of that? If I don't add saline to my water, then I won't retain as much water. I will have to pee more. Okay, so what is the if in this particular hypothesis? What do I need to change to see if this is going to work? How do I know if the saline makes a difference? Well, but before I can try it out, I have to write my hypothesis. It does saline So, does saline change the volume of fluid? Urine. So what do I have to measure? I'm going to get myself a graduated cylinder and just go to the bathroom and pee in it. You laugh, but I was actually a part of a research study about, this was 1992, 1993. I got to spend a week in a sleep lab, and what they did is they collected all of our urine. They were looking at the chemical byproducts in our urine because they were keeping us up for 24 hours and then flip-flopping our schedule. It was at the Navy Research Center. And so they kept all of our urine. So my buddy Mike and I that were doing the experiment together started having a pissing contest. Kept drinking, who could produce more urine. They told us to quit it, though, because if you drink too much water, what happens to your urine? It dilutes it, and they can't do the testing. So they said, will you stop? Sorry. Anyway, so is that something that everybody can see? They don't really want to, but yeah, I can bring it in. Sorry. What? Okay, yeah, I know. Ew, but it's good science. That's why I thought it was funny when we started talking about this. Okay, so the second part of it is how do I know if I put saline in the water or not? Well, so if I'm doing it by taste, that's not the best way to do it. You have to have measurement. So I'm going to put 1 pack per 32 ounces. Why would I be so annoyingly specific? 1 pack per 32 ounces. Okay. So I can be consistent. One of the most important things in all of science. Oops, make that really bold. You have to have ridiculously boring consistency. Annoyingly boringly consistency. Englishing. So sadly, science takes a lot of the fun out of the world. Because it is so boring and so consistent. The reason it has to be boring and consistent is I'm going to write one more word up here. And I'm going to write it in cool rainbow font. The word confounds. Confounds. Confound is a problem. For example, if I'm trying to test this out scientifically, are there things that I can do to change the volume of fluid that's irrelevant to the saline, that's completely not dealing with the saline? Like what? Yeah. So if I eat, well, I could eat something that's really high in fiber, because if you eat something really high in fiber, it causes your body to not absorb a lot of liquid into your blood, but it actually keeps it into your bowel region. Okay? So if I ate something super fibery, that could affect the fluid balance. What if I ate a big bucket of French fries? The salt in the French fries could change it. I wish I could eat a bucket of French fries. But because I'm slightly diabetic, if I eat too much sugar, does that change how much you pee, if anybody's diabetic in here? A lot. Any sugar, it causes your blood sugar doesn't go down, so it flushes out in your urine, you pump out. That's called diuresis. That's what that is. That's why it's called diabetes. Anyway, so there's a lot of problems with this experiment. Okay, one of the biggest problems is bias. In order to do this properly, I have to run the experiment what's called blind. I have to run the experiment blind. So I have my son prepare my water every morning. Like he could do anything. Anyway, he actually made his own water bottle this morning, filled with ice and water in it by himself. Very proud of the little guy. Okay. But I made bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich for him. In non-cellophane paper Ziplocs that we have. Save the turtles. Okay, moving on. So, that'll last about a week until his friends ridicule him to death, then he won't bring him anymore. Okay. So, when I have the experiment run blind, that means the subject doesn't know what's going on. The subject does not know what's going on. If the subject doesn't know what's going on, their bias is reduced. The subject's, like my bias, is reduced. So somebody mentioned before, oh, I can taste the saline. Does that make it difficult for me to test this blind? Yes. It makes it difficult to test this blind. So what would I have to give to keep the experiment blind?
No taste.
But how could I make the saline not taste like anything? What if I add something to the other water that tastes like saline but isn't? So that's what we call a placebo. A placebo is a fake treatment. You can try this with your friends and family. There's something called diet tonic water. Somebody ever have diet tonic water in here? I love diet tonic water. It's like my favorite soda. Tonic water is what you typically mix with gin or vodka to make a gin and tonic or vodka tonic. Yes. The nice thing is the diet has this nice kind of bitter aftertaste to it that's different than the bitter aftertaste of regular tonic water. It tastes just like alcohol. If you have a shot of vodka and a shot of decarbonated diet tonic water, saccharin and quinine technically, your brain thinks it's the same. Can't tell the difference. Can you taste the difference though a little bit with the alcohol taste? But you mix diet quinine or saccharin, quinine, and orange juice together, and vodka and orange juice together, they taste exactly the same. Exactly the same. You can't tell the difference. So would that be a good placebo for drinking? Yeah. It's actually what they use in a lot of experiments as a placebo for just testing. If we wanted to test your drinking and driving, come up to my office, mix some vodka and cranberry, and sit down at the computer and start driving. They'll usher me out in handcuffs because I'm not allowed to do that, but whatever. We could test, because then what would the control group get? What would the people who get the placebo get? The tonic water and cranberry juice. We could test to see the effects of alcohol on their driving. I'd be really interested to test on the CBD stuff. That would be really fun to test. We can test that on campus because it's not. But the problem is that some CBD does have THC. We do that, we get fired. We have the CBD, and it's too expensive anyway. But so could you come up with an experiment to test? Could you come up with an experiment to test, does CBD actually reduce anxiety? In about 10 minutes? So I want you to work with the people around you. I want you to write it down. Okay? I want you to write this down. Okay? And I want you to do these basic things. What behavior are you going to measure? What is your hypothesis? Write your hypothesis like this. Does blank change blank? Okay? Identify what are some, what's the rainbow font? Confounds. What are some confounds? What are some problems with this experiment? We've mentioned a few. And lastly, how are you going to use a placebo? And I do have to pee, so you have about 10 minutes. All the stupid talking.